So I'm just going to walk through an area here that has Ponderosa Pine in it, or yellow pine, which is an industry name. Now, we're not that far from Ponderosa's natural range. It naturally comes to within about, I'm going to say 50 kilometers of here, maybe a little bit less than that. But it doesn't normally grow on sites that aren't sort of south facing, at least in that area down towards Clinton. And so we planted it in here. We wanted to see how it would do. And all of these trees here are yellow pine, and this is my dog. All these trees are looking really good. The diameter growth is amazing. The leader growth is amazing. And I am super happy with how this is all looking. So I think we can say that we are safe to use Ponderosa Pine in here. It's a species we're really going to need as the climate warms up and dries out. We're going to have that tool in our tool belt. And the reason that Ponderosa Pine and larch are so important is that with climate change, we're getting more drought and extended drought in the growing season. And lodgepole pine, which is the alternative species in this area, doesn't actually do that well with extended drought. So there's a point where it starts to burn its root systems out. Species like Douglas fir, larch, and ponderosa are much better at shutting down their needles and not having any evapotranspiration just by kind of closing off the little stomata that are in the leaves. And as a result, they can just hang on through periods of drought and be ready to sort of come back online, if you will, once the drought's over. And that can mean, drought that is year after year. And that's why they do well. So you might get much slower growth, but at least they're surviving and they're able to take advantage of things once the rains come back. And so this stand, I don't know if you can tell, but this stand was a very dense Douglas fir stand. It was probably logged in the 80s. I'm going to say I don't think they were in here as early as the 70s, but this stand was logged early on. They left some trees, some of these taller, get my pointing down right. Some of these taller trees here were left behind after logging, and in the time that followed, it just filled in from natural germination and became a very dense stand. There was some lodgepole pine in here, which died in the sort of, around 2000, 2003 from the mountain pine beetle. And when the fire came through here in 2017, this place was just loaded with fuel. There was fuel on the ground. There was, fuel at all layers. All of these Douglas fir trees in here had branches right down low. So any ground fire would have leapt up and any crown fire would have come down to the ground. This fire blew up, I'm going to say on August 12th or 13th in 2017, which is when this big cold front came through. And this was one of the biggest pyrocumulonimbus clouds that's been seen. This was basically the epicenter of a huge firestorm, and it burned a swath of forest here to black. That was about I think it's about 17 kilometers north to south, and about 5 or 6 kilometers wide, and just scorched, like almost no seed trees anywhere surviving. You certainly see in here, you will not see any mature trees anywhere here. When I was here in 2017, line locating for guard construction, I was here the day that it blew up. It was so dense in here. I mean, you couldn't see off the road. You literally couldn't see anywhere past the road, and it's kind of stunning coming back here because now you can see for kilometers. I mean, if you get up on top of a little hill, you can see everything as far as the eye can see, kind of thing. And that was not the case before the fire. This was just a incredibly lush forest, but on the same hand, it was far too dense, should have been thinned, should have had cleanup, should have been a much, a stand with, trees that had a lot more room to grow. Because when you've got this much forest here, when you've got this many stems, I don't know if you can see just in here how dense some of this stuff are. The trees aren't growing, and really at some point all they are is fuel. You get a lightning strike and the fire's just going to run through this forest type. So that is a look at some of our Ponderosa Pine types, or yeah, Ponderosa Pine.